fixed 28mm prime lens, 60 megapixel, one red dot, and a price tag over $6,000. This is the Leica Q3, a very special camera. Special in design, special in build quality, and very special in price. But what makes this camera special to me is that it makes photography easy again. Sounds like a claim of a politician, huh? What is the most important thing that a camera needs these days? It needs to be with you. And honestly, I don't want to walk around with a big setup anymore. I want it lightweight and small. And honestly, I want it to be good looking. And oh boy, this is a good looking camera. Blame me on that if you want. Actually, let me tell you a quick story so you understand what I mean. 2 years ago, I took my Leica SL2S to Florida and I thought I would bring home many good pictures. But honestly, the opposite was the case. Why? Well, I just didn't want to walk around with a big body that is heavy. Look at the Leica SL2S. This is a great camera for my job, but look at the size difference between those two cameras. I mean, that is crazy. The body alone of the Leica SL2S is heavier than the whole Q3. So last year in December, I took this Q3 to Florida again. But honestly, it was a lot of luck that I could take it to Florida because they were back ordered everywhere. Luckily, a new Leica store near me in Heidelberg opened up and I couldn't believe it, they had it in stock. And while everyone else was waiting for his Q3, I just drove to Heidelberg and collected mine. And I made a very expensive failure there. While I was waiting for my Q3, I took an M in the hand and I immediately knew that I would buy one someday. But let's talk about grey boxes from Germany in another video, shall we? Now, like I said, I took the Q3 to Florida and it was hanging around my neck all the time, or it was in the bag of my wife. And in that way I got so much more good pictures. Like the pictures of those fish in a shopping center. I took those pictures while, well, you guessed it, my wife was shopping. But it was just nice. I was sitting there, I had a Q3 around my neck and I just shot those photos. I saw the fish, I thought it looked good with all the shades and so on, and I just wanted to try it. And it was such a nice experience. It was almost as easy as shooting an iPhone. No focal length to choose because of this fixed 28mm lens. More on that later. Just the overall feeling was so much nicer with this little camera hanging around my neck. And now that we're talking about feeling, there is no other camera that feels like a Leica. This all metal body, the nice clicks of the aperture ring, that is so satisfying. And then the well-known battery mechanism. That's so satisfying, I could do it a whole day. And on top of that, this camera can stand quite a bit of rain and dust. It has an IP52 rating on it. Honestly, I do not know any camera manufacturer that writes an IP rating on their bodies. They just say it's weatherproof, but you don't know how much, right? It's different with this one. And that is something that many people oversee when they buy a new camera. They often compare tech specs and prices, but for me it's much more important to be comfortable with the gear I'm using. And a big part of that is usability, is feel, size and weight. But of course, we should quickly talk about the tech specs, the insides of this camera, because the Q3 is a powerhouse. So let's get one thing out of the way first, and that is autofocus. The autofocus of this camera is good. It is very good. It is not Sony good, but it is more than good enough for most things. Leica does have some innovations that no other camera manufacturer has. Mainly it's the triple resolution sensor. Now this camera has 60 megapixels. Very often people criticize high resolution sensors that nobody needs that. And you know what? They're often right. And you know what too? It doesn't matter. You can choose how much megapixel you shoot with this camera. You can choose 60 megapixels if you shoot landscapes, for example, or you say you want to save some data space, fine, you can put this camera on 36 megapixels or even on 18. Another thing that stands out on this camera is the menu. It is quick, it is small, it has no shortcuts, and it's easy to understand. There is no other manufacturer besides Hasselblad maybe that has such an easy menu. And combined with a touchscreen that is as responsive as an iPhone, it is such a relief to shoot with this camera. Now, the rest of the technical parts are standard. It's like any other camera. So let's end here and come to another part of this camera that stands out. And that's this 28mm Sumilens lens. Now this is probably the best 28mm lens on the planet. It is sharp, it renders beautifully, and it is small for 28mm full frame prime. And I mean, hey, it's a Leica lens that should stay for something. And oh yeah, here, macro mode. Let's just say it's there, and you get pretty close, but I mean, a modern Sigma zoom lens like this one, it has the same focal distance on 28mm without a macro mode. So yeah, you get pretty close, but don't expect a real macro lens here. If you buy this camera, you should be aware that it has this fixed 28mm lens, which means you have to use that 28mm lens and nothing else. For me, that's one very important part that makes the photography easy, because it's one choice less to make. But if you're not ready to learn how to use 28mm, or you don't like using 28mm, or you don't want to go close to your subject, then this could lead into a lot of frustration. Normally, 28mm are used in reportage and landscape photography. No one would have the idea to shoot birds with it. Well, I have to. And you know what? I like the outcome a lot. Because if you're shooting something with a lens like 28mm, the viewer, as long as you get close enough, the viewer gets drawn into the scene. It's like he's in the scene. So I like this shot a lot. These are seagulls. They flew very low. They flew over my head. I panned the camera with them. And so I got this shot, and it almost feels like you're flying with the birds to the beach. Like if you are one of the birds, or if you're looking through the eyes of one of the birds. Now, I know that this was a bit of luck that I got his pictures, and that the chances of not taking a good picture in this scenario is very high. Well, this is where the 60 megapixel sensor shines. You can crop quite a bit with this one. I mean, look at this picture. Would you have expected that it's cropped that heavily? Honestly, I had to learn to shoot like that, because normally I do not crop that much. But it is a very effective way to keep your gear low. So you have to just carry one camera around. And I mean, look at this shot. I took this on another day. It's that fish, and I was leaning down the boat deck, and yeah, with a wide angle lens like the 28, I got this part of the boat deck that works like a frame. With tele lens, I would just have the fish without anything. Well, okay, of course the water, but I think the part of the boat deck does add a little bit of interest to this photo. So far, this camera checks every box for a high-performance everyday camera that's fun to shoot. I mean, we could end this video here, right? But there's one other thing I want to talk about. Because this camera has a few awesome video features. I know, many people buy this camera for photos. But honestly, its video features made me pull the trigger for it. This camera is very capable. It has 8K recording, it has a decent video autofocus, and it has analog, a flat profile that you can color grade. And that was very important for me. That makes this camera a very, very capable hybrid documentary camera. I mean, you could even shoot your YouTube videos with this one, right? And yes, I know, there is one major issue with this camera. And that is that it doesn't have a microphone jack. So you can't record audio into this camera. And honestly, I was pretty mad as Leica announced this camera because I loved everything. I was ready to pull the trigger. I bought this camera, or I ordered it as the Rode Video Mic Pro or something came out. Because this are some little microphone receivers that can record audio internally. So you just can record the audio on your, let me show you, on your little Rode device here. I'm using it here. Now to prove the video capabilities, we will record the conclusion onto the Q3. So, that went wrong. I think if you want to show someone how good a camera can record video, you should hit that record button. Huh? Well, I forgot that, so we have to do it again, and here we are. So, for whom is this camera, this $6,000 fixed lens camera from Germany? Well, I think it's for the enthusiasts, for the hobbyists, for people that enjoy the process of making the photo as much as the end result, the photo. If I have to compare it to something, I think it would be fishing. Of course, I mean, let's be honest, I think there are not many people that go out fishing just to bring home a fish for eating. They go out because they enjoy the process, they enjoy the nature, the silence, and also their gear, I think. And this is the camera where I enjoy photography, the process of photography, the most. So, grab your camera, the one you like the best, the one you want to work with, go out and take your pictures. Enjoy the process of photography. Until the next one.